Hey guys, welcome back. We have a very interesting topic of conversation to get into in our weekend report this weekend. We actually have another very rare alignment taking place. North Node, Neptune, in the sign of Pisces, coming into a conjunction this weekend on Saturday, being joined actually also by both Venus and the Moon. This alignment between Neptune and the North Node has not occurred since 1858. So it's been a minute. This is, therefore a relatively new energy that we haven't experienced in a while. Profoundly, powerfully, spiritually oriented influence. The line between the material and the spiritual worlds this weekend is likely to be essentially like barely there. I would not be surprised if spiritual phenomenon, spiritual experiences, the yearning for connection with a higher power somehow are kind of the primary focus as we move throughout the course of this weekend. We also recently had Uranus stationed direct in the sign of Taurus. The changes that are happening now, you guys, especially in the context of relationships, financial situations, things to do with like assets and resources, material possessions, values, preferences, what we like find value in and deem worthy of our time and attention and stuff like that, up for some major changes right now, but probably honestly in alignment with our higher selves. The high heart coming through here is a very compassionate, empathetic energy. I would not be surprised if there are some like big charitable efforts going on this weekend. But we've got a lot to talk about, you guys. This is another just kind of like special energy. Let's get into it, put it all together, see where we're at and what things are looking like for us as we move towards next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, January 31st, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we're going to talk about all that we have going on out there between Friday and Saturday this weekend, closing out this week and the month of January, moving into next week and the month of February. And February is coming in with like, this is magical energy, you guys. If you've been following my last couple of videos, I've been talking about just this kind of like sense of like stardust in the air, or like, I don't know, things just have been feeling like there's been a little bit of magic kind of sprinkled over the world over this past week or so, with our new moon in Aquarius. And as we move into the energy of this weekend, it is like quite evident that that is the case. We really are, it feels like sort of like a kiss from the divine, you know what I mean? And it is a beautiful energy that we have going on, but it is also indicating a point of ending, a point of transition. New beginnings are like literally right on the horizon. They are emerging. We are beginning to like merge with this new path forward, but there could just be some type of like feeling of divine surrender, divine release, or being ready to let go. Like, these are not forced endings. These are things that we are at a point where we almost have the desire to like let go, see it through, tie up the loose end, move on, so that we can become more. Like, with the whole package of energy that we've got going on this weekend, it is ultimately about the call towards more, like the evolution of the heart, the evolution of the soul, what is to come next, what could be, what it could become, the ideal, the vision, and shifting also the ideal and the vision from maybe what we had thought we wanted into something that is even greater or more purposeful, or just feels like more fulfilling on a whole nother level. We've got, let me just say it, okay? We've got a exact alignment happening between the North Node of the Moon, which is the destiny point. This is this energy that pulls us forward. It represents our collective phase of like karmic evolution essentially right now, coming into an exact alignment with Neptune in the sign of Pisces, the ruler of the sign of Pisces. Now, this particular alignment right here, Neptune and the North Node in the sign of Pisces, this has not happened since January 20th of 1858 was the last time that we had an energetic blueprint present that is somewhat of a reflection of what we've got going on in the energy of this weekend, Saturday, February 1st, 2025. And I'll talk more specifically about that in a minute. But so obviously, you know, this is a pretty rare alignment. It takes Neptune like 14 years to transit each sign. I think it's like 165 years or something to transit the entire zodiac. And with the North Node being the next phase of collective growth in the sign of Pisces, with the planet Neptune ruling the sign of Pisces, this is talking about, to me, like a powerful experience in spiritual growth that is being activated and initiated right now as this alignment comes together. Not only that, what's like making it even more special and magical to me is the fact that the alignment is exactly happening in also exact alignment with Venus. And on Saturday, you guys, you should already know. I mean, I think I already said it in my intro, and if I didn't, what planet do you guys think is also joining this conjunction of 3 planets that is also going on, that is already like rare and unique? Wait for it. Oh yes, that's right. It's the moon. The moon also will be, for the one time a month that the moon will be in this location, it will be on Saturday, February 1st, in the exact alignment, transiting through the end of Pisces with Neptune, North Node, and Venus. So we're gonna have these 4 planets together, Neptune, North Node, which is spiritual growth, and again, this is an energy that we haven't had in a very long time, and then we're gonna have Venus there, which this is relationships, right? This is money, this is values, preferences, desires, what we want, what we like, an image and stuff like that, like how we portray ourselves, how we relate to self and others. And then we've got the moon, which is our emotions, our internal environment. This is also a very kind of like feminine energy combination of planets happening in the sign of Pisces. That's why I'm saying, like, we're going to be ready, like feeling ready to release, feeling ready to surrender, feeling ready to let go. Also, though, you know, feminine energy is also very receptive. So on the other side of things, that's why I'm like, well, one of the reasons why I'm like, yes, this is about surrendering to the karmic ending, but it's also simultaneously like opening to receive the like destiny that's before us, like the fated situations that this energy is simultaneously bringing in. So we've got energy that is indicating being at a point of karmic endings, and also energy that is indicating being at a point of like the fated emergence of the next whatever it is that we are becoming, moving towards, growing into. And it's about evolution. So this is like taking it up to the next level. It's shedding some type of old dimension of ourselves, stepping into something more that is more than what we were before. And probably, honestly, it's going to be quite mind-blowing, I do think, in a lot of situations with a lot of people. You know, a lot of people, I think, over the course of 2024, we're going through some very deep and internalized shifts and changes. I think that from this point forth, moving forward into 2025, it's like people are going to be stepping into that more externally. And, you know, we also talked about that over this past period of time as the North Node was transiting the sign of Aries, like our own personal leadership era, like rediscovering and redefining the true nature of the self, and like feeling empowered to re-identify as and become that again. And now we're moving into the North Node in Pisces transit, which is all about spiritual growth. And so we are like finding the spiritual authority within ourselves as well right now to like step into that new identity and really like shed with the South Node in the sign of Virgo right now, you know, really the old aspects and dimensions of our daily life, our habits, our routines, our lifestyle, like how we essentially interface with the reality around us. And really this energy is indicating, and it's letting us know that if there's ever been a setup that is telling us that really the possibilities are endless. Like, we can make our wishes and dreams come true. This is the energy that is indicating that. And it's so interesting to me as well, because we are beginning this new 20-year cycle generation of Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Powers being decentralized. On the flip side of like the power being decentralized generally, the individual is gaining a new sense of self-empowerment essentially that is emerging through this period of time as well. And on the side of that, we're now being given like all of the tools to recreate our reality in accordance with, honestly, like our highest potential, or this latent destiny that's been existing within us that we were unaware of, this spiritual awakening that's happening right now. Like, a lot of people, I'm telling you, it feels like the concept of like manifest destiny. Like, a lot of people are going to be having some type of spiritual awakening, some type of spiritual calling that they're just coming into an alignment with or gaining an awareness of right now, that redirects the course of the future and also who essentially they are as a person, and therefore like all the various aspects of life, relationships, material, career, like the way that we relate to our like own body, again, like lifestyle habits, routines, diets. I think that as a result perhaps of things that go on this weekend, realizations that we come to, awakenings that we're having, spiritual experiences that we are seeing play out in our lives and around us, and, you know, having to do with other people as well, miracles perhaps that we're interfacing with in the context of different circumstances or situations that are playing out. It's going to be having a major impact, I think, on just what people are doing, where they're oriented, what they're desiring to do, build, create, invest in, commit to, and how our lives are essentially going to look going forward. How things have been is not how they will be, and this weekend is a weekend of divine release, divine surrender, spiritual union. I think that is like orienting things in that regard somehow, both within us, but it's through the connection to what's above us. With Venus, you guys, Neptune, the North Node, and the Moon in union together in the sign of Pisces this weekend, there is it's just like an all-encompassing like soul and like heart-based also yearning for a higher spiritual connection, for purpose, for understanding. Like, this and the impact of this as well, I think, is going to be, Venus has a lot to do with the material world, and we have Uranus right now in the sign of Taurus as well. There's gonna be kind of like a willing surrender or sacrifice of material attachments and stuff like that in favor of some type of just like greater work or higher purpose or spiritual calling. Like, people are going to be willing to let go maybe of like money or things or status or reputation or position or like image or something like that in order to like feel more aligned, like feel more soul fulfilled. Like, the surface value of things, like external or superficial like pleasures and validation and, you know, fulfillment and stuff like that, like, it's just not going to be doing it. And people are really just, I think, going to be wanting to feel something real and to also, you know, feel like they're understanding their role or their purpose in the greater unfolding of all of that. And of course, it is going to also, as a result of that, inspire a lot of creativity that has been latent for a long period of time. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, you guys. Like, I'm telling you, and the moon also is like good in Pisces. This is a really, really beautiful energy that we've got coming through. As I said in the beginning, it feels like a kiss from God, the divine universe, higher power, like spiritual union, divine communion, the spiritual support that we need to like get over that last final hump and like some type of internalized shift or something that's been going on within us, being able to surrender some element of the past, to embrace some, like, again, like higher pursuit or calling or purpose, or just something that feels more divinely aligned for us somehow. This is an otherworldly, obviously, energy. This is a very ethereal energy. And the level of divine, like, inspiration, creativity, art, music, beauty, the higher calling to create, we could see a lot of that go on right now. And it's so interesting. I want to go back into history for a minute. I was saying how the last time this alignment came into fruition, it was January of 1858. So crazy, because actually back then on January 20th of 1858, we had the moon was involved again. We had Neptune and the North Node and the moon in a conjunction at 20 degrees of Pisces. This conjunction is taking place at 27 degrees of Pisces, or is it 28 degrees of Pisces? It's taking place at 28 degrees of Pisces. So we're only a few degrees off from where this conjunction occurred back then. And as I said, the moon was in that union as well. North Node, moon, and Neptune. And listen to this. As I said, you know, today, or Saturday, February 1st, 2025, the next follow-up from the one that we had January 20th, 1858, we have Neptune and the moon and the North Node again, but Venus is also exactly in this conjunction at the same degree. Now, what's funny also about the one that happened in January of 1958, Venus was not an exact alignment at that point in time, but you know where Venus was? Venus was at the same exact degree. She was also at 20 degrees, but she was in the sign of Capricorn. So we actually had an exact sextile going on between Venus at 20 Capricorn to the moon, the North Node, and Neptune at 20 degrees of Pisces. So even though it wasn't the exact same 4-planet alignment that we've got going on now, which I feel like is even more rare and unique and special than that one was, Venus was still exactly like in that flow. She was just in another sign. And I want to talk about some of the things that happened in January of 1858, just so you can kind of get an idea of how this energy might orient itself as it's coming back again now. Probably going to bring up things collectively having to do with art, music, architecture, design that carry into the future, okay? January 25th of 1858, Queen Victoria's daughter married Frederick of Prussia, and their marriage was accompanied by the Wedding March, which was a song created by Felix Mendelssohn. And after that moment, traditionally, it has become, you know, a very famous wedding song that people still use to this day. And it's very interesting because, as I said, while Venus was not in the conjunction at that time, she was in the sign of Capricorn in exact aspect, which has to do with tradition, right? And Venus obviously would have to do with relationship and marriage and, you know, people coming together and stuff like that. So that is very interesting in the context of music and the Venusian energy or Venusian energy, sorry, I always pronounce that wrong, and the tradition that was established in that regard when this particular alignment came together last in 1858. Also, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong as well, I'm apologizing for that, the Hale Orchestra in Manchester, England, that is still around now, that was founded on January 30th of 1858. So this, like, immensely, you know, just powerful, popular, long-lasting musical body orchestra literally established that same month, that same year as well. Again, Neptune having a lot to do with the arts, music, beauty, entertainment, and that would fall right in alignment. And again, that's another thing that has like persisted, like both the Wedding March, which was like a musical event, I guess we could say, that was initiated at that time that persists on, and also this orchestra that is still a thing all these years later. Both happened this exact same month in that time. And also January 6th, 1858, that's when Albert Henry Munsell was born, who was a painter and artist who invented the Munsell color system that specifies color properties and was the first system to illustrate colors in 3D space. And that was, I believe it was actually adopted by like the USDA further down the line in like the early 1900s and applied to soil samples and stuff like that, like a very important color model that has been a tool that's been utilized ever since its creation in like meaningful ways. Also, that guy was born in this energy as well when it happened last time, January of 1858. So those are just 3 examples that I found by a very brief Google search. I'm sure if I put more time into it, there would be a lot more that would emerge along those lines. But all of those 3 things, again, having to do with, I mean, and that one too, that's another example where something that was initiated in that energy having to do with the breakdown of color, Neptune, Pisces for sure. And he was an artist and a painter, which is that is Pisces energy as well, carrying on into the future, still being utilized now. So music, color, art, and new inventions should probably be some emerging collective themes that we come along with this energy that will be foundational somehow in our collective human expression of art and beauty for years to come moving forward. This will also, like on the flip side of that, remember we're talking about endings and beginnings, this will also probably therefore mark the end of the way that we have kind of been collectively interfacing with those same art, beauty, music, industry, fashion, design, like all of that type of thing, color, this, that, the other, in media as well now, because back in the 1800s when that was going on, media wasn't so much a thing. But there's going to be, I don't know, I just think that there's going to be some type of collective shift in preferences in terms of what we are Venus, right? Like what we're attracted to, what we're buying, what we're investing in, what we're putting our money in, what we find worthy, what we find valuable, okay? What we want to relate with in all regards, but also having to do with that whole like art, creativity dimension of life and experience as well. And it's so like mind-blowing interesting to me. I really can't even truly articulate it, how crazy it is that Uranus is also in the sign of Taurus while we have this going on. Like obviously this doesn't happen every day, you know what I mean? Like the last time Neptune and the North Node aligned in the sign of Pisces, we're going back to the 1800s, 1858. And then you want to throw like Venus in there for good measure as well, like and the moon also, obviously. The chances of that happening are just so minuscule. I don't even know how far back in history we would have to go, or how far in the future we would have to go again in order to come to a point where we have Venus exalted in Pisces, like the moon in Pisces, Neptune ruling Pisces, the North Node in Pisces, very talented Pisces, beginning this new 18-year cycle through all of the signs of the zodiac. Like this is just so like epic in the nature of the way that this particular alignment is coming together. And then we're going to go ahead and put Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Like again, like I said, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Uranus just stationed direct on the 30th, and then go ahead and a couple days later right there on the 1st, while this strong Uranian energy is still like palpating, and we have a Aquarius new moon cycle that is underway where Mercury was like exactly conjunct Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Like this is so fundamental in terms of some type of spiritual awakening or spiritual shift. Uranus in the sign of Taurus, that's Venus. Where is Venus? With Neptune and with the North Node and with the moon. The awakening that we're having has everything to do with the heart, with the soul, with the spiritual calling, the spiritual nature, the higher self, and our union or reunion with that energy I'm telling you, not everybody, it's not going to affect everybody like this. And as I continue getting through this energy, getting through this report, talking more and more about it, I will bring up some of the more negative tendencies of this energy. Like we're talking about major escapism. Like there are some things that we're going to have to worry about not that we have to worry about, but there are some, I guess we could say, red flags that come through in this energy as well that we should be aware of. That was what I meant to say, not that we have to, worry about. But it really is this point of epic change. We need to trust, you guys. Things, especially, I mean, the lightning moments, you know, lightning striking tower, the tower moments is what I meant to say, not the lightning moments. But these are so purposeful right now. Things are being put right. Like we are being put on track to align with a trajectory to such a greater level of soul fulfillment. If relationships are falling away in your life right now, it's because whatever lesson or soul growth or karmic, you know, endeavor, like situation that relationship was in your life for, it's run its course. You've passed that test. You've learned the lesson. There's no more soul growth associated with that experience. And we need to come to a point of surrender and letting go of that which we've outgrown. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. Anything that is functioning as a blockage to growth in our lives right now, that is prohibiting us from getting on the path of conscious awakening, spiritual growth, activating destiny that universe has like mapped out for us right now, it's going to have to leave our lives in one way or another, because the like higher calling right now is really the entire name of the game, and it's going to happen one way or another. So therefore, again, that brings up the relevance of this point of surrender and, you know, release with the faith that things are going to actually work out better in the end. And it's not only that, like, it's not only that we've got this really crazy alignment happening yet again, and that we have Uranus having just stationed, that is like bolstering this even more. I mean, Uranus is the great rectifier. This is the planet that puts things right. This is a time of mass blessings, you guys. Perhaps they're blessings in disguise, but blessings nonetheless. We also have the sun in a trine to Jupiter while this energy is playing out, and we also have Mars in a trine, water sign trine to Saturn, who is also in the sign of Pisces alongside this conjunction. This is what I'm saying, like Mars and Saturn in a trine aspect together, you guys, this is master builder energy. This is the determination and the will and the energy and the courage and the assertiveness and the passion to like get the work done and to do it right, to be focused, to be diligent. Like we are not taking our eye off the task at hand until it's completed, and until it's completed like to the utmost of the aptitude of what we're capable of producing. Like this is energy that evokes greatness in terms of masterfulness, okay, in terms of how we're using our energy. When we have a trine going on between Mars and Saturn and water signs also, there's this feeling like inner, like the nature of our inner environment and our feelings are what are driving us to create, to build, to lay foundations, to form, to make something happen. And again, in this more masterful way. Saturn being in the sign of Pisces, this is indicating the solidification or the potential for the dreams, the ideals, the visions, the divinely inspired creative energy that is coming through from the North Node, Neptune, Moon, and Venus conjunction to actually be channeled in a concrete physical way into the 3D world, where we can put some energy behind it to build, to form, to structure, to create something, okay? Like it is crazy. And then the sun trining Jupiter in air signs as well. This is also like amazing ideas. Jupiter's retrograde, like we know how to fix things. We know how to implement solutions that will like carry us forward in a successful way. And with Jupiter and the sun in a trine, this is classically one of the most positive and beneficial, benefic aspects in all of astrology, indicating success, good fortune, good luck, divine support, wisdom, blessings, like good advice, like a good understanding of things. This is extremely, extremely positive and productive energy for us to be able to recreate a new version of the future in alignment with these personal soul upgrades that we're making to ourselves because of some greater, union with the divine, spiritual awakening, again, spiritual calling, or just like shift of preferences or some type of conscious awakening that's going on within us that is causing us to like radically alter what we want for ourselves moving forward. So I don't know, you guys, it's like, again, like, it's just really quite profound. Aside from the creative art, spiritual phenomenon side of all of this, it's hitting big time in relationships, big time in financial situations. As I mentioned earlier, sacrificing the material in favor of the spiritual, surrendering perhaps money, possessions, image, reputation in order to embrace a spiritual calling, a higher purpose. The sudden realization that that thing that I thought I wanted so bad for all of those years, it's just not worth it to me anymore. It's no longer the ideal. It's not what I thought it was. I'm not who I thought I was. And as a result of that, my idea of that thing changes. I realized it's just no longer aligned with what I want for myself moving forward. If it's not filling up my heart, if it's not filling up my soul with the spirit of God in this energy, honestly, I just don't want it anymore. Like, if it's not giving life to my heart and soul, Moon, Venus, Neptune conjunction with the North Node, it is no longer what I desire to create. And as a result of that, like, I'm at the point of willing surrender. Relationships, contracts, investments, commitments, projects, partnerships, assets, resources, and image, material possessions. This could also indicate some type of like big philanthropic effort or like charity effort, people donating, giving away money or resources through some type of higher calling or divine compulsion somehow, desire to serve, save, help, and give to others, being just like where our heart is right now, with Venus being there. We want to feel God's love, a willing sacrifice of the material in order to connect with or channel that internally. Going to most likely produce shocking results as a result of that, right? Unexpected change within relationships and circumstances as people realize that whatever was superficial in their life is no longer tolerable. Like, that's literally the energy. Like, anything fake, anything superficial, anything that's just on the surface, like anything that doesn't make us feel connected, that doesn't make us feel alive, that's not like stimulating a sense of purpose or like hitting on that soul level, it's probably going to lose its appeal for some reason. Now, on the flip side of that, whenever we're dealing with Neptune and Pisces strong, and I do believe over the next year and a half while the North Node is transiting Pisces, this could be a theme, especially in the energy of the North Node Neptune conjunction. This is people leaving things, okay? This is a desire to escape or avoid reality. This is people, again, like seeking, yearning for the connection, the mergence with the divine. And obviously, the other end of that would be an utter disconnect from reality. So escapism here could be majorly disorienting in terms of things that are playing out over this period of time as well. Choosing like spiritual life or just like disconnecting from things over participating in the 3D experience. Drugs, alcohol, and suicide, you guys, these are the red flags of this energy. Also, people just like taking off, abandoning situations, really also maybe like putting their head into the sand about things and just not wanting to face maybe some issues going on here. So those are things that we need to be mindful of. I do think that people choosing to leave the worldly experience could be an unfortunate way that some of this energy can manifest as well. So just something to be mindful of, something to keep in mind. And also the desire to escape reality, merge with a higher power, leading to more like excessive like drugs and alcohol types of situations. So that could definitely be going on out there. And another thing is deception and false appearances are also always an issue when we've got this type of energy going on. However, because of the other astrological alignments and just events taking place right now, people, I don't think it's so much that we have to worry about people getting away with things. I think it's a lot more so illusions breaking down and like false ideals or false visions or fantasies, really, maybe, or illusions that we have been held in or have been holding about things, maybe suddenly instantly breaking down, us finally gaining a moment of clarity, perhaps seeing the truth about something, and maybe as a result of that being willing to let go, release, surrender as well. But I'm telling you guys, with the North Node's presence in this alignment, it is meant to be. The things that are ending now are meant to be. Similarly, the fated connections, Venus, that are coming in right now, also meant to be. This is a time of great, like, karmic situations happening in the context of relationships, karmic endings. Again, like, relationships that were serving a certain lesson, having run their course, us graduating from that, and maybe similarly coming into contact with like whatever is our next experience, our next learning path, our next lesson plan in relation to matters of the heart, the planet Venus. Okay, so probably some desire, strong desire could be going on to disconnect from the mundane in one way or another, seek experiences that make our soul feel alive in one way or another, but we are not wanting to do that through, you know, the more negative manifestation potentials of this energy. Prayer, meditation, obviously, creative activities as well. Like, even if you're not a creative person and you don't think that you're a creative person, learning to play an instrument, you know, learning to paint, getting like one of those Zen adult coloring books, like doing some modeling clay or something, you know, sculpting, any of that, it is assisting a process of spiritual heart healing. Okay, like, you know how there are sort of like those alternative healing methods like music therapy and like art therapy and stuff like that people like talk about, that are like very beneficial in some ways for like healing trauma or like just various things that have gone on. That type of thing, I do think could be actually like very, very, very powerful, the way that this energy is coming together. So even like color therapy and stuff like that. So or just like music also could be extremely, extremely healing. Writing poetry, also like fiction and fantasy, literary works. I'm telling you guys, the next great works of literature, art, music are going to come into fruition or formation or be invented somehow around this period of time right now, with the way that this is coming together now. And of course, the more mundane level, a lot of people could just generally be in a bit of fantasy land out there. People could be walking around seemingly very disconnected from reality. I would be very, very, very careful. Like, just make sure you're paying good attention, like driving and, you know, being on the road and stuff like that. This is not energy where people are necessarily like paying very, very good attention to what's going on around them. So just practicing maybe an extra bit of situational awareness, especially if you've got to like, you know, be driving in a car or something like that. Probably something that would be a good idea. But daydreams, idealization, like high heart ideals, the bigger vision, wishing on a star, rose colored glasses for sure coming through in this energy, you know, perhaps to the point, as I said, of being quite disconnected from reality. This is just what this energy is going to bring. Okay, but we should, I think, since we're already in an energy that is invoking such just like a fantasy type of feel to it, this otherworldly type of feel to it. Seeing yourself throughout the course of the weekend as the main character in your own story as it's unfolding, and literally having the ability to write your own future as you go through the visions and the ideals and the healing that is ongoing in this energy, what we're releasing, the openness to the opportunities of what could be, and the surrender and willingness to go with the flow, the belief in the divine, the interfacing with the spiritual presence in the reality as well. Yeah, we truly, like, I've not seen energy that is so strongly indicating our individual aptitude to be the author in our own story moving forward. Now, I know this is not a new concept. Obviously, people have been talking about self-authoring for a while, but this energy is just really, really, really supporting our ability to do that, to see it within our mind's eye, to know it's possible for ourselves, and to receive some type of divine inspiration in terms of how to translate that, how to make it possible, to have the ambition and the motivation and the energy and the determination to build it, and then for a successful outcome to manifest. Like, we literally have all of the elements of a successful manifestation. From the spiritual translated through to the material, coming through here between the Venus, Moon, Neptune, North Node, and the sign of Pisces, like the mind's eye, the imagination, the inner vision. And then we have Mars and Saturn in the trine in the water signs as well, like the energy to like practically apply that and make that happen. And then we've got the trine between the Sun and Jupiter, like successful outcomes if we can see the big picture and like know how to implement the plan properly, like take advice, follow wisdom, do things in the smart way. We've got all the pieces of the puzzle right now, literally, to be like recreating reality. And again, as Pluto transits the sign of Aquarius over the next 20 years, that is what is going to be happening. We're going through a massive shift in power right now, a decentralization in power right now. The flip side of that is sort of like a collective process of self-empowerment. I do think that perhaps this energy coming through this weekend is playing a big role in facilitating that through some type of divine inspiration that grips a greater segment of the population of humanity and motivates some path to purpose, destiny, self-actualization that assists in the process of building this new reality associated with Pluto in Aquarius coming forward now, and also functions to root and begin to build the foundation of the age of Aquarius, this greater 2,000-year cycle of time that we are moving towards and through the threshold of right now as well. So we've got master builder energy out there, you guys. We've got cosmic support. We've got spiritual awakening, spiritual union, divine connection, divine intervention, conscious awakening as well. Again, you know, if there's ever been a time that the vision was supported and coming to life, or the dream into reality, this is now. This could also bring like a form of poetic justice somehow. This particular configuration of planetary alignments makes me think of the spiritual merges with the material, soulmates, karmic connections, karmic release, divine alignment, very, 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 very sensitive energy, very, 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 very emotional energy, very psychic energy. Great works that transform the collective consciousness are being seeded into the consciousness of humanity with this, I do believe. Listen to your heart, listen to your higher self, let go of what you know is not supporting your growth, okay? And embrace divine destiny. That's what I feel like the message is, you guys. That's what I feel like I need to say about this energy. I'm going to read Sabian symbols now. I'm going to read all of the Sabian symbols. We are talking about this spiritually aligned energy, synchronicity, things coming exactly at the proper time and place. Every single one of these symbols to me is like speaking to this energy, you guys. I am not going to give my interpretation on them. I'm going to leave that up to you guys, but I am going to read all of the symbolism associated with the energy while we have that 4 planetary alignment coming together on Saturday. So let me do that now. On Saturday, we will have the sun at 14 degrees. And it's so interesting also, sorry not to like backtrack, but it's the first day of February. So it's also a new month when we are getting this alignment, and it's a new energy that we haven't had since 1858. So there's also that, okay? But we have the sun at 14 Aquarius. That Sabian symbol is a train entering a tunnel. We have the earth at 14 Leo. Cherub-like, a human soul whispers into every receptive ear seeking to manifest. We have Mercury at 8 degrees of Aquarius. Beautifully gowned wax figures on display. Like, there's so much artistry in the symbolism. That is my one interjection here. I have to say that. Like, the artistry represented in the symbolism that is coming exact for this alignment is very descriptive of the aspects as well. So we have beautifully gowned wax figures on display, the position of Mercury. We have Mars at 21 degrees of Cancer, a prima donna singing. We have Jupiter at 12 degrees of Gemini, a slave girl demands her rights of her mistress. We have Saturn at 18 Pisces, in a huge tent, a famous revivalist conducts a spectacular performance. We have Uranus at 24 Taurus, an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging from his belt. We have, and I want to talk about that. I need to remember actually to make a final note about that before I sign off of this report. So that's me telling myself to come back and talk about that again. But we also have Pluto right now. Pluto recently moved to 3 degrees of Aquarius. That Sabian symbol is a deserter from the Navy, stands suddenly aware of a dawning truth. Freedom is never the result of compromise. We also have Chiron at 20 Aries, a young girl feeding birds in winter. We have the Black Moon at 25 Libra. The sight of an autumn leaf brings to the pilgrim the sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death. And 29 degrees of the sign of Pisces. This is where Venus, Moon, Neptune, and the North Node will be on Saturday. That Sabian symbol is light breaking into many colors as it passes through a prism. That's crazy to me, considering especially the fact that the guy that invented that color system that broke light down into the 3-dimensional model was literally born under that energy, and now this time around, like, we've got this symbolism. But to me, that is like so descriptive of the way that this energy could be functioning. I do think that we're going to be seeing things through, for some reason or another, a lens or a perspective that shows us a different layer or a different dimension that, I don't know, like, because of what we've seen or experienced, changes the way that we feel, changes what we want, changes what we want to engage with, changes what we want to create and build going forward. Light breaking into many colors as it passes through a prism. We're being given the ability to see like the full spectrum of things, and again, to perceive that which is usually unseen. We normally don't see all of those colors, right? We only can see that if we're looking through the prism, if it's breaking down a certain way. To me, that is indicating, right, like, what is normally unseen, the unseen world around us, the spiritual dimensions to our reality, interfacing with us in a way that makes them clear or known somehow. I don't know, that's crazy. And then on the flip side of that, the South Node in the sign of Virgo, 29 Virgo, a man gaining secret knowledge from an ancient scroll that he is reading. The past, new dimensions of things, figuring things out, secrets revealed, shifts and changes majorly in our perspective. Remember, we are also moving through a new moon in Aquarius cycle right now that had Mercury and Pluto in almost an exact conjunction for our new moon, which is very much about gaining secret knowledge by uncovering things from the past that maybe had been hidden, obscured, or unknown up until a certain period of time when they're discovered. So that's the symbolism, you guys. Yeah, again, like, it's just so, like, the prima donna singing, beautifully gowned wax figures on display, just feels like there is a greater than normal level of like artistry and like beauty and like artistic stuff being described. The sight of the autumn leaf brings to the pilgrim the sudden revelations of the mystery of life and death, light breaking into many colors as it passes through a prism. Just like very, very Neptune, North Node, Moon, Venus oriented energy, I feel like coming through in various ways by the Sabian symbol placements as well. Lastly, what I wanted to say pertaining to that degree of Uranus, I mentioned this briefly in my new moon in Aquarius video. That was the last video out. I kind of skipped over the Uranus station because it fell on the day after the new moon video, so I didn't have a video out specifically about it, but I do want to just like address some of the indications that are associated with it because I don't know, just probably worth saying. Okay, so I think, you know, Uranus in the sign of Taurus having stationed at this degree, especially 24 degrees of Taurus, an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging from his belt, Uranus being the great rectifier, the galactic fixer, that energy which sets things right in accordance with some higher fate or destiny or divine plan that needs to be facilitated or needs to unfold. Like, that's what Uranian energy does in my experience, in my opinion. Like, it comes through and it puts things where they need to be in order so that that higher plan can unfold, whether or not we understand or agree to it at the time. Therefore, it is like that lightning striking a tower energy, free fall energy, but it also brings blessings in disguise when we're dealing with strong Uranian energy as a catalyst for events. When we get down the road, we realize, oh yeah, wouldn't have picked that, wouldn't want to do it again. However, glad it happened, because if it hadn't, it was like the missing piece that made everything come together. That's what we're dealing with when we've got Uranian energy. This energy creates shocking sudden changes, things we wouldn't have expected. Definitely in the sign of Taurus, disrupting the comfort zone, disrupting the stability, perhaps financially, materially, in terms of resources and stuff like that. But it's bringing a major overhaul in a way that is going to remove blockages to growth. Uranus in the sign of Taurus, this is a process of removing blockages to growth that have blocked the development, the cultivation, the manifestation of some type of authentic potential into a physical material like version of itself somehow. That's what Taurus does. It's the sign of the builder. It's about growing things. It's about taking energy and transforming it into something physical that can provide security, beauty, comfort, abundance, all of these like sensory oriented, like physical 3D things associated with the fixed earth sign of Taurus. With Uranus, the great awakener transiting through the sign of Taurus, the energy that brings us into alignment with our destiny, it is removing blockages to growth, creating an awakening in the context of authentic potential that universe would seek to have manifest to make that purpose, potential, destiny get on course to its proper trajectory and path, you know, that God, Great Spirit, universe wants us to do. So over this period of time, it's been functioning to remove blockages to growth. And we really could, like, in that same regard, we really could see some big time financial system upheavals go on over the course of, you know, this year moving into next year, as this energy seeks to essentially like reorient anything that has been an inversion of true authentic value that can produce true authentic growth and potential. Like anywhere where we've been putting value where value is truly not, and anywhere that we've been neglecting to put value where value truly is, like these are the way that the changes are just going to spontaneously take place, and it's probably going to be in a way that's quite out of our control. And Uranus is an outer planet. It's probably going to happen in quite a collective way. Like this indicates financial revolutions going on. Also things having to do with food, resources, assets, building supplies, the way that we're getting things done, the way that we are using energy to create material outcomes. Also partnerships, allegiances, alliances, contracts, agreements, investments, relationships, okay? So as Uranus stationed last week, moving through the energy of this weekend, there could be major shakeups to the material world, the comfort zone, the foundation that are happening, having to do with this type of stuff. But remember, it is for a very important purpose, and it's actually going to make things work better moving forward, even if it is creating like major instability or uncertainty at like the current moment of its occurrence, okay? But what I do want to say with Uranus at that specific degree, also this is happening 24 degrees of the sign of Taurus. There is a quite notorious fixed star known as Algol. If you guys have been following the channel throughout the course of this year, I have talked about this fixed star multiple times by now. It is known as the Medusa star, and it can have or just indicate tendency for people to be sort of like losing their head with things, okay? So it can, you know, metaphorically, people can like not really be thinking clearly, which is also another dimension perhaps of this sort of like being out of it energy that we might have going on this weekend. Like people may just not be using their head, right? Caught in fantasy land, like totally lost in a vision or a fantasy or an ideal about something, not being super like logical and rational about things. Like it can have to do with that type of situation, or I do think there could be some like heads rolling, okay, having to do with things that are coming out, maybe that have been hidden, that we are awakening to, that we're discovering, like sudden shocking announcement, sudden shocking discovery. And as a result of that, maybe like some people out for blood, people just like ready to, you know, off with their heads rolling in accordance with changes that are underway right now. And it could be happening in kind of like a shocking sudden way. Now, I don't necessarily mean, you know, people like physical beheadings, that would be less likely. But I think that if there has been, like, let's say, secrets, right? The position of that South Node, a man gaining secret knowledge from an ancient scroll that he's reading, like secrets that are being uncovered here, maybe that have been preventing things from happening the way that they should have been happening. There could just metaphorically be some heads rolling in the context of like maybe people being like ousted or just sudden changes that are taking place, okay? And again, this could also be very indicated in like big business, big finance, also like the music industry and things having to do with, also we're talking about a resurgence coming here, like a new era in art, music, beauty, architecture, design, sculpture. The flip side of that, there could be some just type of ousting or I don't know, like public beheading or something, but not actually. I mean, in terms of like the collective just being at a point of conclusion or being done with maybe some like artists that defined the beauty standard or the music standard or the something like of the past. Like we could see some type of like I don't know, like brutal stuff going on in terms of, you know, people's image or reputation that have been associated with maybe the collective industries or the big business or the big industries having to do with the arts, all types of arts, and, you know, film or media also of the past. So major changes, major transitions underway, you guys. This is a spiritual awakening, okay? Like if you've been part of the spiritual community for a while, I'm sure you are quite familiar with the terminology of the Great Awakening, you know, any type of thing associated with a spiritual awakening, but this really is it. I do think that this is where honestly, like I have astrology books where people are talking about this Great Awakening and this sort of like spiritual resurgence way back from like the early 1900s. So, or like the 1920s-ish. So I do feel like we are moving through a threshold right now because you know, and I really don't mean to like be like, you know, to like blow things out of proportion, but it really is an energy that hasn't happened in almost, you know, like over 150 years. So just as Pluto entering the sign of Aquarius is historic and revolutionary, so is the Neptune North Node conjunction by way of this spiritual growth and the spiritual presence in the material world that this energy also represents. So I do feel like it's kind of a big deal. I do feel like we are crossing a threshold spiritually that will translate into an awakening consciously, that again, like, it's not going to hit everybody out there, you guys. Everybody out there is not going to be responding to this the same way. It is just as likely that people are going to be actively avoiding and hiding from this process as they are embracing the process. Again, a lot of people trying to get out of it, a lot of people jumping ship, a lot of people not wanting to participate, a lot of people, you know, may literally be choosing to exit the reality as we move forward through this period of time now. But a lot of others, life-changing metamorphosis that actually like creates a path and trajectory to so much more fulfillment and abundance, like not even necessarily materially, because remember, this energy is like reorienting us so that we are, I think, kind of like collectively just feeling like there's more value in just the sense of fulfillment itself, perhaps, than maybe we had in the past. Whereas, like, you know, money and reputation and, you know, or the network or our image or just like career, like whatever that may have been our parameters or our ideals of greatness and success, it's like it's shifting. So now, you know, while that is still an important thing that we strive for, like what I think is going to become more and more important is our sense of like soul fulfillment and soul purpose, and whether or not we are in touch with and living and experiencing that moving forward, which would be right in alignment with the shifts that are required as we move into the age of Aquarius and this path of self-actualization as well. So it really is all the same. It's all working together. It is all a part of the same overall unfolding process, and that's what we're doing on this channel, you guys. We are dissecting the energy as it comes through and transitions us into the age of Aquarius, and pinpointing exactly what impact each one of these transits is happening in that overall ripple effect that is just moving us in that direction. So there you go, you guys. That's what I have to say about all the energy as it's coming through this weekend. Hope you guys liked the video. I'm going to get us a synchronicity card now. Ask for one more piece of guidance or advice or divine inspiration. God, Spirit, Universe, what do we need to know? What should we keep in mind as we do move into this energy this weekend? Oh my gosh. Look at what our card says, you guys. It actually says love. Can't tell you the last time that we got this card. This card rarely comes out, but it's the message for the weekend, and that is crazy. Venus, the moon, Neptune in the North Node in the sign of Pisces, and we get the love card. If we loveth one another, 1 John 4:12. When two hearts be as one, oneness, unity, and understanding are shared. The law of attraction brings them together in divine order, and they accomplish great things together. What did I say, you guys? Divine unions, fated connections coming in, karmic endings, a point of like no return in terms of the lessons that we have completed and concluded and are moving on from, and love being highlighted in terms of our synchronicity message this weekend, and love being highlighted in terms of the configuration of planetary energy that we've got going on this weekend. High heart, you guys, union with the divine, compassion, empathy. Again, like I do think people are going to be, there could be some like big charitable effort that's going on, or like divine inspiration channeled through the heart, manifesting physically a new era of beauty, art, and creation being initiated right now as well. So that's what I have to say, you guys. Like, it could not be more perfect. So I don't know, message from the stars, synchronicity message. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. I'm so grateful for your presence on my channel. I love and value you guys out there all so much, and your contributions, what you have to say, your feedback when you communicate with me via the comment section of my channel. I really, really appreciate and adore you guys. If you're having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group where I post those boards. You can find that in my comment section below. If you are into Mayan astrology and you want to follow the Tolkien with us and know what the energy is each day in the context of the Mayan cosmology, I've been posting those in the shorts section of my video, so check those out too. Come back with me, you guys. Next week we're gonna have a whole new week of energy that we need to get into. I will be back to jump in head first, so you should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, guys. Have a really beautiful weekend. I know you will, and until next time, bye.